This video was made possible by the amazing human beings on Angel Spit's Patreon. Join Angel Spit's Patreon and get awesome content and cool stuff, and plus receive ancient protection from our god Cthulhu, who in the process of this video we will actually be summoning. So you want that. Welcome back to part 2 of the vocoder. In the last video we looked at how they work and made a basic sound. In this video we're going to push what a vocoder can do and really push it like crazy Cthulhu birth, and we're going to summon an ancient god. Trust me. As we covered in the last video, a vocoder will trace the modulator. And it does this at a super fast rate, and it's also very accurate, as analog audio traces are actually lightning fast and they have 0 latency. This is great for things like drums, but it might be a bit too fast for the voice, as the voice can come out sounding jagged and aggressive. If you want something more ethereal and smooth, you need a slew limiter. A slew limiter is used to smooth the signal by filtering out all the fast changes. A slew limiter is also referred to as glide, glissando, portamento, or lag. Most vocoders have a slew limiter built in, but my modular vocoder needs to have a separate slew limiter across whichever bands require it. Here is me talking without slew limiter.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And apply slew.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Another way to make it sound smooth and ethereal is by applying reverb to the vocal modulator before it goes into the vocoder. This is subtle but sexy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
If your vocoder is mono and you want a stereo recording, make it stereo by doing 2 passes. Easy, but we can make this cool. For the left side, I'm going to pass the vocals, or the modulator, straight into the vocoder. The carrier will be the left side of a big fat synth sound. Plus, I'm going to add a little bit of noise. I'll put slew on some of the bands and shape some of the other bands with volume.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Then I'm going to run the vocoder's output through a compressor, then a phaser.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Now for the right side, I'm going to use the same vocal recording, but this time I'm going to add some reverb to the vocals. Then I pass it into the vocoder. The carrier will also be the right side of that big fat stereo synth sound. And I'm going to put the slew and the volume on different bands. Basically, I'm going to swap them around. And I'm going to do something a little different here by swapping some of the frequency bands. So frequency band 5 is going to go into 6, and band 6 is going to go into 5, etc., just to change things up. Once again, I'm going to run it through a compressor, then the phaser. But I'll slightly change the speed and the frequency center of the phaser.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And when you put them all together, it sounds like this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Another cool idea is to use a song as a carrier. Classical music works really well as you don't want a track that's too recognizable. And for this example, I'll be using a sample.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Use a drum pattern as the modulator. Sample drum loops from a real drummer are great because they have a whole bunch of frequencies in them. All the different sounds and the different mics are all bleeding into each other to produce something big and lush and wonderful. If you want something more defined and sharper, use an 808 because each drum sound of an 808 is sonically specific and it takes up a really small frequency bandwidth. So the vocoder effect sounds precise. Now the fun thing about a modular vocoder is you can use those voltage outputs from the analyzer section to control anything. You can patch them into anything in a modular synth. So this is what my voice sounds like when all the different bands are totally mashed up and totally randomly swapped around. Awesome. Now let's take this to an extreme. I'm going to take one of the low frequency bands and I'm going to get it to control the main synth. The voltage output from here will control the pitch of an oscillator. I'll plug this straight into the board. It sounds like this. Next, I'll take a medium frequency band and it's going to act as an FM pitch, a frequency modulation pitch. This band will control the pitch of another oscillator, but this oscillator will frequency modulate the first oscillator. This is what it sounds like. Next, I'm going to take a high frequency band to act as a volume control on that second oscillator. So it's going to affect the amount of FM that goes into the first oscillator. So the more high frequency in my voice, the more FM in the synth sound. Now we can take this a step further by using this Cthulhu weird sound as the actual sound carrier, that is the big fat synth. And this is going to be kind of feeding it back into itself. So we're now going to use the original voice to shape it. That is cool. So now let's take it one step further. We're going to make the vocoder modulated by the higher bands. So instead of this sound being controlled by all the frequencies in my voice, it will only be controlled by the higher elements in my voice. Hear how it's a weird, whispery, sci-fi, Cthulian nightmare? I don't even know if Cthulian's a word, but Use pure noise as the carrier to make your voice sound like Satan's whisper or scream. Distort and EQ to taste. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Use the vocoder to make pads sound creepy. So instead of having static pads that just go wee, use a vocoder to shape the pads with your mouth and make them sound creepy. I'm going to vocalize in the language of Mordor and also add phrases from the lyrics. So this is my raw vocals. Ashamor. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the creepy pads are going to be repeating the vocals, kind of sounding like backing vocals that are ducking out of the cursing sounds of Mordor. And these are the vocoded vocals. The vocoder is an insane tool for shaping audio. Much of what I've done here can be replicated with cheap or free software. So grab a vocoder, make your music, and make your voice be heard, because the world really needs your voice right now, even if it is vocoded.